Welcome to the channel and to this 2,500 point battle report between Eldar and Adeptus Mechanicus. Welcome to the Badlands, in and amongst these crags, in and amongst these valleys. The Penitent Forge of the Adeptus Mechanicus will meet Craft World in Lavinia for the first time. There is no earthly reason why the Craft World would want to attack the Penitent Forge. They were here rearming, refueling, and about to take off into orbit and leave this planet behind, but the runes of fate cast by the Farseers have decreed that the Penitent Forge must be attacked. Today on the channel, for the first time, I get to fight an army with Golden Demon level painting in it. John has come all the way down from Liverpool. He's a Golden Demon finalist. He's been to No Retreat with the SN Battle Reports team, where he won a bunch of prizes. And there's a showcase video that precedes this video on the channel, Showcase Eldar. I encourage you to go and check it out. It is just breathtaking. But let's get back to the battle. Today we're going to be playing the Maelstrom of War mission, Cleansing Control. That's the one where you get 3 orders a turn every turn, and it's hammer and anvil deployment. That's lengthways. Eldar will be down this end, the Admech will be up this end, and so far I've got first turn so far. So there are 2 objectives in the Eldar deployment zone, and this one might be close to the Eldar deployment zone as well, and 2 down here in the Admech deployment zone. This one almost certainly is in no man's land. As you can see, there's going to be some wide open sight lines here and there, but for the most part line of sight is going to be severely compromised across all parts of this battle grid. Don't really have much more to say. I want to go and have a look at these armies. Just a quick note, this battle mat is brought to you by GameMat.eu. This is one of my favourites. So with some very interesting large line of sight blocking terrain, this lengthways deployment, this should be a very interesting game. Let's go check out this out. This is 2,500 points worth of Adeptus Mechanicus. This is a War Convocation. So War Convocation consists of a Cult Mech element, a Skitarii element, and an Imperial Knight, Oathsworn Knight detachment. That's 1 to 3 knights. You get your upgrades for free. Gets hot weaponry no longer gets hot. I haven't got any of that. And the whole army can benefit from Canticles of the Omnissiah that the Cult Mech have, including the Knight. And that's where the real powerhouse of this list comes into play. Haven't got that many free upgrades. All the Princeps Alphas and my Warlord here have got conversion fields. It's a 4+ invulnerable save and digital weapons. Some of the weaponry upgrades are free over here. And I don't feel too guilty about bringing a War Convocation versus Eldar because it's Eldar. In fact, the last time I brought a War Convocation against the Eldar, I got tabled. So in the Skitarii part, we have Rangers, we have Vanguard, 2 Haywire Grenades, you've got the Infiltrators, the Ruststalkers, that's the other way around. 3 Onager Dune Crawlers, 2 with Skyfire, 1 with the Neutron Laser. There'll be 1 squadron, and 3 Dragoons in the background. There's a Night Crusader with a Storm Spear rocket pod, 3 units of Grav Destroyers, 2 units of Breachers, and the Castellan robots there. Apparently I said mocket pods. I meant rocket pods. Not mocket pods, rocket pods. So what we have is a very slow, very ponderous force going up against a very fast Eldar army, and I thought it was painted quite decently. I think I do a pretty good job, but there is a whole other level of painting that mere mortals cannot achieve. And this is 2,500 points worth of Eldar. It's a Combined Arms Detachment, a Aspect Host Formation, and a Crimson Death Formation. Okay, so this is the HQ for the army. What's he got?
Okay, he's just bog standard sword, and he's got the Spirit Stones of Anathlan.
Psychic powers?
Oh yes, he's rocking his Eldar powers, which he managed to get. Fortune, Eldritch Storm, Mind War, and of course Guide.
Okay.
Then we go on to the other chap. He's got no stone, but he's carrying the spear there, the witch spear. And he's got Psychic Shriek, Mental Fortitude, Terrify, and I'm really sorry he got Invisibility as well from Telepathy.
Invisibility?
Yeah, sorry.
Eldar need the help, so it's a good job you've got Invisibility. Then in the troop slot we've got scat bikes everywhere, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm assuming they've got scat
4
lasers.
units of scat bikes.
Okay. This is elites or?
Yeah, that's the elite troop choice. Again, sorry, it's the Wraith Guard, D-Scythe, and they're inside the Wave Serpent at the back there.
No need to say sorry, they're just so very pretty. I'll die with a smile on my face. Fast attack units, these are the Hornets from Forge World.
Yeah, rocking pulse lasers.
I really like the Hornet models, and you've done a stunning job on the paintwork here. For those that don't know, what do Hornets do?
Basically, they are allowed to scout, and because they've got acute senses, they can re-roll the side with which they come on. And also they can turbo boost, or flat out basically, 18 inches because they're skimmers, and snap shoot.
Still snap fire there.
Snap fire, so.
Right, yeah. Okay, in the aspect host formation, there's 2 units of the dreaded warp spiders. There's a unit of fire dragons. I suppose they'll be inside the wave serpent back there.
That's correct.
These get +1 BS or weapon skill. I'm assuming you're going to give it to the BS because they're all shooty.
Yes.
Yeah, and they re-roll leadership tests, I believe, the aspect host.
And the fearless.
And they're fearless.
If the Exarch's still alive.
Okay. And you've got Exarchs in each of these squads.
That's correct. Well, that's part of the aspect host. You have to bring one.
Okay. We've got Lord of War. We've got the big, the beautiful, the Wraith Knight. Don't think I need to say anything more about this particular model. We all know what he can do. Well, I could say, wow. And then we have the Crimson Death formation converted from some dark Eldar Razor Wings. So this is the Pulse Laser and the 2 Bright Lancers. Yeah.
That's right.
And they get the re-rollable Jink and something else.
Yeah, Vector Dancer, which is always a bit nasty. You know, move 90 degrees, then move, and then turn another 90 degrees.
So what we have here is a stunning, good-looking, fast-moving Eldar force. And ask John why these particular units, why these particular things. Everything in this list is pretty optimal. Scat bikes are good, warp spiders are good, the Hornets are good. Everything here is good and quick. Needle precision. Here we are after Penitent Forge deployment, and Craftworld Narvinia did not cease. And every single thing I can is deployed on the table. Everything is here. We have the Dragoons anchoring this flank, and the Imperial Knight front and centre, obviously, and the Honoured Dune Crawlers on that flank there. And yeah, a huge, massive lump of terrain in front of the rest of my army, which are cowering behind. The Rangers are anchoring this objective here. I've got some Grav Destroyers anchoring this objective here, and I chose not to scout because it's Eldar, and Eldar are very scary. And there's just a mess. There's Destroyers, Breachers, Vanguard there. My Warlord has attached to this unit of Destroyers. There's the Castellan robots. Just a mess of bodies ready to push forward. The next closest objective to me is at least a turn away. And this is what I look out at. Craftworld Narvinia. We have the Fire Dragons on this side, close to the Dune Crawlers. And then units of scat bikes scattered all over the place. One of the Hornets up there, one of the Hornets down here. Of course, the 2 units of Warp Spiders are in reserve. The Crimson Death is in reserve. So, just for reference, this is the Skatach Wraith Knight from the Mirror Forge World book.
And Hellstorm.
Which chucks out 2 48-inch range, strength 7, AP 4, shred, massive blasts, monofilament. And Hellstorm. Hellstorm? What's the Hellstorm thing?
Hellstorm.
Is it Torrent?
Torrent.
Is it Torrent or Hellstorm?
No, not Torrent.
It's not Torrent or Hellstorm.
Because that would just be stupid being Eldar.
Yeah. Basically, it chucks out some different guns. We'll show you what it does when it starts firing, but I can imagine that it's not moving any far forward than this. Oh, it has also got the option to jump up and into ongoing reserve if it wants to in the movement phase. So we're reading that as if it has a movement phase. If it gets locked in combat, I don't think it can jump up and into reserve because it wouldn't have a movement phase. Warlord is attached to this unit of scat bikes next to this objective. This is the second in command with this unit of scat bikes, and this unit of scat bikes are already on this objective as well. The third one very close, very easy for the Eldar to get. So the first rounds ring out in anger, shots echoing through these canyons. We have the swiftness and the beauty of the Eldar versus the machine and the cogs and the might of the Omnissiah. Let's go on to turn 1. Objectives for the Penitent Forge in turn 1. I've got hold the line, which is possible, but win an assault and kill a flyer. Both of these can't happen in turn 1. Shroud Psalm is in effect, where it's stealth and shrouded to all my stuff, and +3 ballistic skill, -2 weapon skill. So the binaric commands whistling down the noosphere in turn 1 are very confused, very mixed. We clearly haven't seen this craft well before and are approaching cautiously. Here we are at the end of turn 1 for the AdMech. Some units charging up the table here and the Castellan robots coming through the breach. There are 3 units, this unit, and this unit just within 12 inches of my table edge, which gets me hold the line. The robots ran. The only things that shot this turn were the Imperial Knight, which picked on a unit of scat bikes there and scored first blood. Also took out one of the scat bikes over here and a hull point off that Wave Serpent. So very good shooting, very accurate shooting by the Princeps there of the Imperial Knight. And then the Onager Dune Crawlers firing down here with a crap ton of shots managed to glance this Wave Serpent to death. So a successful first round of fire there from the Penitent Forge. 2 points scored, 1 for first blood, 1 for hold the line. But I am presenting a few choice targets for the Eldar. Let's move on to Eldar, turn 1. Normally I show the objective markers on the Eldar Codex. Can't find the new one. I think my mate's got it. So old Eldar Codex will have to suffice for now. We are going old school. And these are the orders for the craft world. Hold the line, same as me. Keep 3 units back in their deployment zone. Skyborne Assault. Essentially, they've got to use skimmers or bikes to kill a unit. If they kill 3 units with this, using their skimmers or bikes, they get D3 extra points. And Kingslayer, take out that Magos. That's going to be very, very tough to do in turn 1. Here we are after the movement and psychic phase for the Eldar, and it was quite a tough turn for them, quite a few tough decisions to make, because the fire dragons which were here could have come forward a bit forward and get some shots into the Imperial Knight there, but only a couple of them would have been in range, and then no doubt they would have been lit up and burned away. So they've pulled back here. And looking across the army, before the warp spiders come in, there's actually not a lot of anti-tank in this army. There's some lancers on this squadron of Hornets here, which have got guide on them this turn, and they're looking down at the Onager Dune Crawlers. But this thing, remember, hasn't got the dreaded double Ds. He's got Fortune on him this turn, and this Wave Serpent here has got Invisible on him. He's thinking about bringing the Wave Serpent round, spinning its butt around, and the Wraithguard getting out and getting some D shots with their flamers on the Knight as well, but only 2 would have been able to get in range. That's not enough D. And then potentially they could have been fragged as well. So some cautious moves, some pulling back from the craft world. Jet bikes jumping up and round here and there. He was also worried as well about the countercharge from the Dragoons over there. So the craft world are staying cautious and staying back for now, looking to the skies as the Crimson Death cut through the clouds. Let's move on to the shooting phase. Pulse lasers from the Hornets. 8 shots coming in at the Onager Dune Crawlers. Rolling up. 3s to hit. That's pretty good shooting. And this is strength 8.
With guide.
Oh, with guide, yeah. That's 7 out of 8 hits. Strength 8. Armor 12. That'll do it. So it's 4 up cover or 4 up invulnerable save with the Amantis force field. So on the glances, 4 up. And that's 1 gets through. And on the pens, oh no, I'm sorry.
You're not using my dice.
Not using your dice anymore. Just 1 whole point taken off the Dune Crawlers. Haven't fired the big guy yet, but in the remainder of the shooting phase, lots of firepower coming down on the Dragoons and on these chaps here, and Shroud Psalm, keeping me safe from all of the firepower from the Eldar. In fact, it was very, very, very unsuccessful. Most of the firepower hitting models in terrain, +2 for shrouding, +1 for stealth. That's the power of the War Convocation. I can do this twice, per game, and at the moment no casualties taken. And then the star cannons from the Wraith Knight fired in at the Castellan robots and didn't do nothing. And now we're going to fire the big guns. First big gun coming in here. This is the 7-inch blast, and that's one hell of a scatter. We'll work out where it lands. Ends up landing here, clipping 3 of these chaps. Strength 7 AP4, 2s to wound with shred. So that is 3 wounds. These guys are in cover, so that's a 5 up, plus stealth and shrouded, so they have a 2 up. And they make all of them. Next shot coming in there, rolling a hit. And that's a hit. You're going to get quite a few models, let's work it out. Just hits the Castellan robot maniple there, but it is strength 7 but monofilament wounding versus initiative. So this wounds on 2s with shred. The guys are in terrain, plus shroud Psalm again, so this is a 2-up save. And that reflects back and hits the Wraith Knight. No, it doesn't reflect back. It doesn't work against repulsor grid, doesn't work against blasts or templates, but I save that firepower. So at the end of turn 1, the Penitent Forge weathered the storm, taking no casualties. In fact, only a glancing hit. It's Shroud Psalm that are keeping me safe for now. The Eldar do get a point for hold the line, so it is 2 points to the Admech, 1 point for the Eldar, and we're going on to turn 2. New orders come over the new sphere, keeping Shroud Psalm in effect, and I've got to score objective 6, which is in No Man's Land, kill a character and scour the skies. All of these are going to be very tricky. In the movement phase, the robot's got a good move through cover. I'm a 2-inch charge away from scoring objective 6, and the Dragoons here are 14 inches away, so I need to roll an 11 to charge in and punch this invisible wave serpent. That'd be one hell of a long bomb charge. If I manage to do it, it means the nasty D weaponry is all the way back here. If I don't manage to do it, they're going to spin round and no doubt flame the crap out of the Dragoons. So the Knight has moved over this way a bit, ready to counterpunch his counterpunch if he punches my counterpunch when I counterpunch. And then the slow, ponderous advance continues. Dune Crawlers here, backed up by the Rust Stalkers. We've got Destroyers and Breachers, Vanguard hugging the wall. It's going to be a long, long time until this Admech army actually brings most of its guns to bear. So in the shooting phase, the Imperial Knight is going to have a go at the Wraith Knight. I can't actually see the Wave Serpent on one hull point left or anything tucked away down there because this terrain is so invasive. So we're going to try and take on this fortuned Wraith Knight. So it's 12 shots with the Gatling cannon. These hit on 3s, and it's strength 6 rending, so I need 6s. And that's only 1, but that'll be a 5 up cover save, re-rollable because of fortune, and a 5 up feel no pain. And it takes it like a boss. 3 Skyhammer missile pods from the big bad boy, all 3 hit. This is strength 8. AP3 versus toughness 8, so 4s to wound. Nothing at all. The Rust Stalkers running forward, the Breachers firing across at the Wave Serpent. It's invisible, it took it. None of these other Cataphrons can run, but the Castellans need a 2-inch run to score me objective 6. Oh no, 1 inch. So I won't be
what's
getting
that, sorry? 1 inch?
That's a 1.
That's a shame, that.
That's a 1. Won't be getting any objectives this turn. So all left to do is these guys are going to try and take on the Hornets. Let's do this on camera as well. Declared a Jink, twin-linked auto cannons, 3 hits. Armour on the front is 11, I believe.
It is.
So we have 1 pen. And he jinks. So 2 missile launchers coming in. These are strength 7, AP 2, and both miss. And now we'll have the ignores cover shenanigans. So that's 6 hits, and these are strength 6, ignores cover. Oh dear. So that will be a pen, and that's a glance, and that's nothing. 1 glance, 1 pen, ignoring cover on that squadron. How many hull points do they have?
2, so...
1's gone.
1's definitely gone, yeah.
And then finally the neutron laser down onto that. And it's going to hit, and this is strength 10. And that's a glance, and you get your jink. And he doesn't jink, and this is a... Oh, that's just a glance. So that's a hull point off the second chap there. Incidental firepower from there took out one of these bikers, but he's still here. He held morale, and we saw the guns from the dune crawlers wrecking open one of the vehicles there, glancing the other one. And that's all I managed to do in the shooting phase, not running far enough with the Castellan robots and doing nothing with the big Imperial Knight. I've got a 14-inch charge coming here in the assault phase. Yeah, let's do that. Which I'm not going to make because I needed an 11 plus 3. And that will be the end of my turn. So the Penitent Forge are causing some damage. There is a Wave Serpent down. There is one of the Hornets down. But it's a very low scoring game for now. 2 points to the Admech, 1 point for the Eldar. What can they do? Will the Crimson Death come in? Will the Warp Spiders come in? Let's move on to Eldar. Turn 2. The Eldar orders to secure Objective 3, which is deep in the Admech line. Strands of Fate secure Objective 2, which is deep in their lines. And use a skimmer to kill kill anything for points. And all of their reserves are coming in. Start of the movement phase. One of the Warp Spider squads is deep striking dangerously in the Admech back line. Let's roll up. Good luck, by the way. 4 inches back, he'll be okay. That the Strands of Fate are kind. The second squad also coming in here. Rolling up.
Blow.
And that's a hit. We are at the end of the movement and psychic phase. The Warp Spiders are in force down here. This is after their battle focus run move. And here is Objective 3, looking at clearing one of these units of destroyers out and potentially jumping on there and scoring it. Let's not forget that they are Warp Spiders as well. So while there is a whole crap ton of firepower that can wash back in on them, they could potentially jump around here and be hidden and be out of line of sight from most of my army in my shooting phase, if they so wish. And then movement down the rest of the table looks like this. We have one of the flyers coming in and vector dancing, cutting sideways. The two other ones skimming along the back edge, skimming along the table, vector dancing in, skimming along the table, vector dancing in. He's staying back and staying cautious over there, worried about the intercepting shots from the dune crawlers. The big, bad, nasty Wraith Knight, which is invisible, has jumped forward and is looking at the Dragoons. An invisible Wraith Knight coming forward. The Wave Serpent that was there has zipped up there. And we did a flat out move. The Hornet that was over there on one hull point has moved all the way on this side of the table. He's jinking. Because he moved flat out, he can still snap fire in the shooting phase. These guys stand still, on point, watching. And then Bikers up here looking down to the left side. Fire Dragon staying tucked in here. This unit are guided, looking down the left side here. So the Eldar pilots heard the calls for reinforcement, and they are here, and there is a wave of blue about to wash down onto the Admech lines. Let's move on to the shooting phase. Interrupting the shooting phase now, the big boy is firing 2 of these Strength 7 AP4 monofilament rounds, both of them onto this squad here. That's 6 hits, Strength 7, Armor 11. And that will sting a bit. Alright, Shred, you reroll to wound but not armor penetration, so there's 2 penetrating hits and 1 glancing hit. What do you want to do first? Because they are open topped and potentially blow up. So I'd roll them first.
Would you?
Yes, it's up to you. What do you think? No blowing up, so that will be 1 of them wrecked, and that'll be 1 down to a hull point. And then the star cannons on top, firing down into the breaches. Is that only 1 hit? Are they not twin linked?
No, just 1 hit.
Just 1 hit, that's unfortunate.
I'm being dead lucky.
Strength?
6.
Toughness? 5. That doesn't wound. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, you know, it's the way the world ends.
The remainder of the shooting phase shots from here managed to kill the second of the Got dune crawlers there. This flyer got the knight in a side shot and managed to take a hull point off of it. So it is steaming. It is wounded slightly at least. And then shots from the bikers with guide firing down, smashing it into this squad, killing 3 of them. Could have killed a lot more, but Shroud's Arm keeping them safe. They got a leadership 9 test to make, which they pass. So burning through the crags, firing all these arcane weaponries down. The Eldar are beginning to make a dent into the Admech lines. And now we're going to fire the Warp Spiders over here in the backfield.
The Exarch.
So the first squad of Warp Spiders firing in at these destroyers here. The Exarch hitting first. He hits on 2s. Doesn't everyone hit on 2s because of your...
Yeah, but if I whiffed it, because his ballistic skill's up to, say, 5, I get a reroll, don't I? I need to do it on a 6 then.
Rest of the shots, hitting on 2s. Pretty good hitting. And this is strength versus initiative. So these are wound on 2s. And
6 is rending.
6 is rending. And that many wounds. And then behind the barricade, so that's a 5-out cover save with stealth and shrouded from Shroud's Arm. Do you remember Shroud's Arm, John? You like Shroud's Arm, don't you?
Yes.
So 2-up save. And I take a wound. So if it wasn't for Shroud's Arm, they'd probably be wiped out and he would have the opportunity to go at my Warlord's unit. But now he's going to do the same with the second squad. The second squad onto the destroyers, hitting on 2s with the Exarch with the reroll. Nope. And now hitting on 2s with all the rest of them. That's everything hit. Nice. And wounding on 2s because of monofilament. Oh, that's a lot of ones. And that's a rend, but I'll pile it in with this lot because, again, with Shroud's Arm, 2-up save. Okay, so this chap will die, and one of the next ones will go on a wound. I'll do their leadership test now because they might run off the board. They don't run off the board. Leadership 7 or 8. So at the end of the shooting attack, the destroyers hold morale and the Warp Spiders flicker around here. Not far enough to tuck right behind the cover, but as soon as they get targeted as a shooting attack, they can flicker jump further back. So I suspect they're going to be harassing my backline for the remainder of the game. And this is the end of turn 2 for the Eldar. They do score objective 2. We've done the assault moves with the bikes jumping back down and clinging on to cover. It's 2 points each. All of the Eldar forces are now deployed on the table. They are beginning to damage this strong, this resilient but slow Admech force. And this Admech force will not be able to do Shroud's Arm anymore. The electromagnetic storm that has been flickering across the battlefield for the last 2 turns, keeping the Admech hidden, is going to collapse as we move into turn 3. The orders for the Penitent Forge are a mixed bag. I need to get that objective 6, just an inch away from it. Should be able to do that. Kill a vehicle or a monstrous creature, and if I kill that Wraith Knight, I get D3 points.
Which is invisible.
Which is invisible. Scour the Skies is going to be tough, but I've got Benediction of Omniscience up, so everything is going to be twin linked when I shoot it. In the movement phase, the Castellan robots have moved around and securing objective 6, which is a scatter field, which is quite nice, and I was worried about the Knight. Because let's not forget there's a bunch of Wraithguard with D-size in that Wave Serpent. Need to wreck it open, that'll get me Big Game Hunter. Should have enough firepower to wreck it open. And need to kill the contents that come out of it. With their shots, with the grav shots. Otherwise, that Knight is going to be in trouble. No doubt the Wraithguard see it as a choice target. But he's going to go flying into the Knight. Wraith Knight on Imperial Knight. In other news, the last Dragoon is heading towards that injured Hornet. The Dune Crawlers spreading out. I have got line of sight just about on the wingtip of this flyer here for Scour the Skies potentially. And the Ruststalkers, which took a hammering, are heading back round this way, which is where the Warp Spiders are probably going to flicker jump to after I shoot a lot of grav at them. Got the Vanguard here and the Destroyers there and the Destroyers here. Can't have Warp Spiders flickering in and out of the warp amongst my back lines, sowing destruction, sowing dissent. while the rest of the Admech force continues to push up and hard into the Eldar lines and break the back of this craft world. Let's move on to the shooting phase. So the autocannon shots and the missile launcher firing at this thing managed to take one glancing hit off of it as it jinks right and left, but now we're firing the Ignores cover rocket launcher and we hit on 3s, and with binaric omniscience we get to reroll. And that's everything hit. And this is strength 6 versus armor 10 Ignores cover. And that's a dead flyer. The pilot ripped from the sky, scour the skies. And that is destroy a vehicle as well as scour the skies. That's 2 points right there. It looks pretty on the bottom as well as the top. Here we are at the end of the shooting phase. This thing was brought down by the haywire from here, and then Grav fired in, and the Castellan robots fired in at the Wraith Guard, the ones they could see and the ones they could hit. It would have been an overkill if both squads had been able to see them fully, but in the end, one Wraith Guard is left, and he's fearless. And then the big gun on the Knight fired everything it could at the invisible Wraith Knight, doing nothing. But the Storm Spear rocket pod has wrecked one of the Hornets up here, leaving only that Hornet over there on 1 wound left. 1 hull point left. Then some more incidental fire flicking around the battlefield. But to be fair, a lot of the Eldar army is hidden away. And when I say a lot of the Eldar army, there's not a lot left. We've got Fire Dragons, the first in command and second in command with the scat packs here. The Wraith Knight, of course, is always a threat, and 2 flyers. Then down in the backfield, both of the Warp Spiders did flick a jump away. This squad taking 2 casualties, and this is the unit 6 suffering no casualties as some of these guys fired down in on them. So Craft World Narvinia are taking a bit of a pounding here. Now we've got some charges coming on. This Dragoon against that vehicle, and that'll miss. And then my Knight versus the Wraith Knight, looking for an 8. And that's an 8. We have a combat coming up. And we just measured it and measured it again. And I swear this is just a gnat's breath away from making that charge. So that invisible Wraith Knight breathes a sigh of relief. Or rather doesn't breathe, instead makes ghostly, wraithy Eldar type sounds. Howls of pain, no doubt, as his brothers and his kindred get cut down around him. I score 3 points that turn. The Admech are making their presence felt. It's 5 points to the Penitent Forge, 2 points to the Craft World. This Craft World are bleeding, but they're not out of the fight yet. Eldar are sneaky customers at best, and let's not forget that Shroud Psalm bubble has now collapsed. So let's move on to Eldar, turn 3. The Eldar orders in turn 3, they still have secure objective 3, deep in my back lines and kill something, a whole unit with the skimmer rule and harness the warp. If they get 3 psychic powers, that's D3 points. Could this be a comeback for Craft World Narvinia? In the movement phase, the flyers zipping around, putting as much cover between themselves and the Ignores cover Gatling rocket launchers as they can, and all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of firepower in my backlines. These destroyers are in trouble, these destroyers are in trouble, and my Vanguard in trouble. Pick on 4 separate units here, because the Warp Spiders have ran forward and already battle focused forward. So yeah, 2 units there, 2 units there. There could be a big dent in the Admech corner in this turn. And then round the other side of the table, these guided and mental fortitude on them, and invisibility failed on the Wraith Knight, which is pulled back and pulled away. But he has got force off as well, so that's on one of his squads here. He wanted to get 3 psychic powers for D3 points for harness the warp, so potentially the Eldar could equal the game. So as well as D3 points for harness the warp, if one of these units of scat bikes or the Hornet, which move flat out again, the 1-on-1 hull point, kills just 1 unit, then that's an extra point, and potentially the Warp Spiders could flicker jump onto objective 3 and steal that as well, assuming both of those destroyers die, and then the Eldar will dash into the lead. The Craft World Narvinia are not out of this fight. Let's move on to the shooting phase. In the shooting phase, 2 massive blasts coming in over here. This is going to be nasty. That's a big scatter. And that hits him and the two breachers down there.
So
and
again,
the second shot?
same place.
Same place.
Boom.
And that'll hit. This is what it looks like afterwards. One in this squad of infiltrators wiped out. He's dropped a couple of wounds. It was the scatter field there keeping me safe, keeping the Castellan unit robots safe. And one of the breachers got wiped out by that shooting attack. Powerful shooting phase from the Eldar Craftworld there, smashing down both flyers onto this unit of destroyers, forcing this guy, the whole unit to go to ground, and he's left on one wound. And as for the second unit, it was wiped out by all the warp spiders. We've done the flicker jump moves. These guys have jumped forward and are scoring objective 3. These guys wiped out 3 in this squad of Vanguard, and they broke and they're falling back. So the warp spiders are doing what they do best, sowing discord and disarray in and amongst the Penitent Forge's backlines. Then in the centre of the table, the last remaining Wraith Guard managed to get a D hit on the side of the Knight, taking a couple of hull points off with that destroyer strike. And the jet bikes have jumped back down there after they shot with the Hornet down at the breachers here, killing off the unit of breachers. And that's Skyborne Assault. So a point for Objective 3, a point for Skyborne Assault. Some incidental firepower washing into the Dragoon, washing into the Dune Crawlers, doing nothing. But with warp spiders on this side and the Eldar pushing back on this side, and there's an Admech sandwich in the middle of the table, they've scored 2 more points plus D3 for Harness the Warp. And that's only 1 extra point. It's 6 points to Craftworld Eldar, 5 points to the Admech. Quick addendum, it was 5 points to 2, so now it's 5 points each. The game is a draw. We're balancing on a knife edge, moving on to Admech turn 4. The Admech orders come through the Noosphere and they are good. Praise the Machine God. If I use Shroud's Arm or Incantation of the Iron Soul, making my units fearless, then I get a point. So that's 1 point. Recon, discover all mysterious objectives. That's been done. That's an extra point. And Network Archetype. If I score objective 1 or 5, I get 1 point. If I score both of them, I get D3 points. And this is achievable. Praise the Omnissiah.
Shut up.
Here we are after the movement phase, and despite the Eldar dancing around us, the Admech push on, trying to heed these orders. Here's objective 1. I need a good run to score a point there. I get a point for recon. And this is objective 5. So long as the Dragoon makes a good run, that's going to be D3 extra points. And of course, with Praise the Machine God, that's another point. Praise the Omnissiah. Knight coming over this way, it would have been a long bomb charge to try and get hold of the Wraith Knight. So I'm pulling back, pulling away from the D shots from that one lone Wraith Guard. These guys staying up here, and hopefully they'll be able to clear them away. Looks like the Eldar are getting boxed in this corner, as I am getting boxed on this piece of terrain here. The Vanguard have regrouped, and they can look at one of the squads or the other squads of Warp Spiders, and my Warlord's unit, the Magos Dominus, has turned round the Tech Priest, and he's going to look at one of these units of Warp Spiders as well. Meanwhile, in the backfield, the Rust Stalker is running back round, ready to catch them from behind. Dune Crawlers have lined up there, ready to thread the needle through these rocks and hit one of these flyers and take it out of business. So with chants echoing down the Noosphere, let's praise the Machine God and make these Eldar bleed. Move on to the shooting phase. In the shooting phase, the Dragoon has managed to run up and around the Castellan. Robots have managed to kill the last Wraith Guard, and this guy fired one of his guns up here, killing the last Scat Bike, and the big gun down there at the second in command with the unit he was in. And the second in command's dropped down to 1 wound, and the 2 bikes he's with are dead. And then threading the needle between the cracks, managed to take out 1 more of the flyer, leaving the Exarch cutting through the skies on his own. And now my Warlord's unit has targeted the Warp Spiders who are here, and they're flicker jumped back there. So I've got 3 Phosphor Blasters hitting on 4s and wounding on 2s. That's 1 wound with a save. And he fired that one first because if it causes a wound, it would reduce their cover save by 1. And now I'm going to fire a lot of grav, and that's 18 grav shots. Well, it's 18 grav shots. I only hit on 4s right now, and that's not very good shooting. 8 wounds caused, wounding on 3s, and they all wound. So that's that many 5-up cover saves from this unit of 4 warp spiders. And I managed to take out one of the squads in the backfield. Hurrah for the Omnissiah. And now this guy who's pinned is going to snap fire at them. Do you want to flick a jump?
No.
You don't?
He's snap firing.
He's snap firing. Okay. 6s to hit. That'll be 1 hit. Graph. That'll be 1 wound. 1 5-up. Oh dear.
Oh dear indeed.
Oh dear indeed. And so the Vanguard will try and finish them off. Are you sure you don't want to flicker jump?
I'll be flicker jumping now.
You'll be flicker jumping now.
I'll be flicker jumping now, yes.
Okay, it's probably a good idea.
Oh, 6
6
inches.
That'll still be in range for some of the shots. Only 18-inch range radium carbines. I might be in range.
I'll be using my SN template, I believe.
SN no retreat. Nice stuff. Going to that tournament shortly. Are you going to that tournament shortly?
Yes, I am, Winters.
Oh, so I'm going to see you again when you're there, am I?
Yes.
Oh, well, there's a downside to this then, I guess.
Excellent banter. Well done, sir.
I do try. We have 2 Haywire guns hitting on 3s, strength 6, 2 wounds, 2 full armor saves. And there's 1 more dead. And then the first 4 can hit. 3 assault 3 weapons. So we hit on 3s, which is quite a nice spread of hits. And these are strength 3 versus toughness 3. So only 1 wound, but that counts as 2 wounds because of the radiation rounds with a 3-up save. And I kill 1 more. And then the Rustalkers that are going to charge them are going to chuck one of their grenades on their face. And that's a hit. Hits all 3 of them. Neural trauma always wounds on a 4. 1 more wound on your Exarch. You get, say, 3-up. Unless you want to look out Sir, and he takes it. Okay, so that's the end of my shooting phase. And then the Rustalkers went to assault, and we didn't roll for it because they thought there's no way that they could kill them on Overwatch, and they killed them on Overwatch. Lovely. At the end of turn 4 for the Admech, just 3 remaining warp spiders down here and 1 flyer. Big chunk of the bike's gone. In fact, all the Eldar really have to call on them is these fire dragons, which have done nothing yet. A Hornet on 1 wound, and the Wraith Knight. Plus I get a point for praising the Omnissiah, and I get a point for recon and D3 points.
Religious buffoonery.
For my religious buffoonery, that's 4 more points in total, making it 9 points to 5 in favour of the religious buffoons, while the Eldar gets pushed back and back and back into the webway.
Alright, easy.
The Eldar bloodlust is up. They need to get behind enemy lines, and they already are with the warp spiders. Win an assault and combined strike. If they kill something in the psychic shooting or assault phase, they get a point. Kill something in 2 of those phases, that's D3 points. Kill something in all 3 of those phases, that's D3 plus 3. Hard to get the third thing, but assault and assault. Get behind Cain's wrath. The blood of Cain flowing through their veins. This is the end of the movement, the psychic phase, and the first thing we did is put a couple of warp spiders back because I completely fluffed that. These guys were snap fire, and these guys, basically, they're all fine. Everybody's there, and they've moved forward in battle-focused round and are coming in for round 2. So that's going to sting. Remember, if they kill something in the shooting phase and the assault phase, that's D3 points. The Exarch has vector danced his way through the canyons and is looking down at my Warlords unit. And up there's a unit of scat bikes, which are guided, and they can potentially smash down into my Warlords unit as well. The Fire Dragons have finally made it into the party. They got a good 6-inch run with battle focus. And there's a chunk of vehicles here. They're going to do what Fire Dragons do. In the Psychic phase, he tried to kill the Castellan robot unit with Psychic Shriek. He did hit, but I made my invulnerable save. No armor or cover versus Psychic Shriek, but you do get invuns. And of course, the Wraith Knight has turned invisible 1 more time. Now, with juicy targets for the entire Eldar army to shoot at, this could be a punishing turn. Are we on for a comeback here? Let's find out. Interrupting the shooting phase here, the Fire Dragons have blown up one of the Onagudrun crawlers, and the Hornet has taken 2 more hull points off the Imperial Knight, dropping it down to 1 hull point left. So this unit of scat bikes has decided to fire into them. The Hornet was guided. These guys are not. But this is 12 shots hitting on 3s. Let's roll up, John. Let's see if you can take out that big bad boy. It would have helped if he was guided, but he isn't guided. So that many hits. It's strength 6, side armor 12. Shields were on the front. So any 6s. And that's 1-6. The Imperial Knight goes down. And here we are at the end of the shooting phase for the craft world, and it was devastating. The knight going boom, taking out one of the infiltrators with him, and then the Wraith Knight decided to target its 2 massive blasts down here. All of the infiltrators have been wiped out. One of the Castellan robots has been wiped out. One of the breaches has been wiped out. That was nasty. Suddenly there is a big chunk missing in the middle of the table. Let's not forget the damage done in the backfield. The flyer, the Exarch, decided to pick on the lead Onager with its sky-firing array there, only taking a glancing hit off of it and then back along my lines. These guys got lit up by the warp spiders before they jumped backwards. The warp spiders score behind enemy lines, and the Eldar just killed stuff, lots of stuff in the shooting phase, so that's a point for combined strike, making it 9 points to 7 in favour of the Admech. The Eldar are catching up. And as we look across the battlefield, there's not a lot left of the Admech. All of a sudden, some Vanguard, a few scattered units here and there. But despite the fact that the Eldar have very few units left as well, they were able to bring a decisive blow. Losing that Imperial Knight is a very, very painful thing. Craftworld Vinia are certainly making the Penitent Forge bleed blood and oil. Let's move on to turn 5. We're heading into turn 5. The Admech are ahead by a nose, and the orders are very simple. Capture objective 1, 4 and 6. And the Skitarii units have +2 ballistic skill, -1 weapon skill. End of the movement phase. Very little left to move. We have been tearing chunks out of each other. And there's objective 4. I cannot get it. But I can secure objective 6. And I can secure objective 1 in the name of the Omnis Sire. And with what little firepower I can muster, some is going up range over here. The destroyer's turning around, going to take on the fire dragons over there. And the Onager Dune Crawler should be able to wipe out that Exarch. Remember, I've got +2 ballistic skill this turn. I'll be hitting on 2s. And these guys stringing out, trying to get rid of these warp spiders one more time. Except for this unit here and the Exarch streaking between the canyons. The wave of blue has been stopped, but I have paid a heavy, heavy price. I am bleeding. Let's pull the trigger and kill some more of this Xenos. The end of the shooting phase, and the Dune Crawlers managed to tear the Exarch out of the sky. This Icarus sky-firing array is brutal. He's gone. And then as for the warp spiders, they weren't able to flicker jump far enough away to ignore the grav and the radiation rounds. And they got fragged. They got absolutely wiped out. Only a little jump backwards. So that's 2 units punished. Then the grav train from here, smashing in, killing 4 of the fire dragons. That was nasty. And then the Castellan robot, along with the breaches in the background, killed the last Hornet. So I have secured my back lines finally. And the Eldar are reduced to 2 fire dragons, a couple of scat bikes, and the Wraith Knight. And I also get a bunch of points there as well. I secure objective 1 with the Dragoon. I secure objective 6 over here with the Castellan robots and the Data Smith. It's 11 points to the Admech and only 7 points to the Eldar. We go on to Eldar, turn 5. The Eldar orders are to secure objective 5, 2, and assassinate killer character. It's the very end of turn 5. The Eldar have scored 2 points and we rolled up and the game ended. And this is the way the world ends. With me line breaking back here, the final score will be 12 points to 9. The Dragoon nearly died from the star cannons and from the scat bike over here, which is sat on objective 2, which was one of their objectives. But he still managed to hang in there, staring up in awe and admiration as this thing charges past him. The Wraith Knight smashed in at the Data Smith, killing the Data Smith and the Castellan robot with him, and that was assassinate. That was the second objective the Eldar managed to score this turn, and the Fire Dragons managed to blow up another Dune Crawler. That was all the firepower they could really bring to bear. Oh, the scat bikes around that side as well killed one of the Warlord's bodyguards in this destroyer unit back here. And that's all she wrote. As we look across the battlefield, I've got destroyers. I've got one destroyer back here and some Vanguard. The breachers there, some Rangers and a Dune Crawler, and that's about it. Very little left. I've been pushed back into my half of the table, except for the Dragoon, but let's not kid ourselves. He isn't going to be there for very long. But the Eldar have very little left as well. Let's face it, it was Shroud's arm that won the game for the War Convocation there. Despite having a tremendous amount of firepower, it was all deflected by that binaric shield in the first couple of turns, and then when the Eldar could bring their firepower to bear in the last couple of turns, they absolutely wrecked face. But by that time, it was not enough. The Admech had secured a comfortable lead, which they did not give up. With the hull from the Exarch now belly up and belching smoke, Craftworld Navinia have been pushed back. This is a win for the Imperium this day. Thank you for watching. Happy wargaming.